Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. So I just watched a video by GGEasy and he's talking about the Timegate, and the reason why he decided to summon during this supposed Timegate is because there were a back-to-back Feng Nusi summon in chat, and that's why he went ahead to summon immediately. And he also got a Shimmer Esper this way, but he got a Tether instead. Yeah, spoiler alert. But anyway, there is a lot of talk about what a Timegate is, and I've brought it up a few times even though I can't really prove it, but because of the number of times that I have summoned for not just myself but for a lot of you guys as well, and some of the things that I've also observed, it does exist to some extent, and I'll explain what that means and why I think it does exist. So in layman terms, what a Timegate is at specific time intervals or depending on the actual time itself, that would affect certain randomness in, let's say, computing logic, because there is nothing in the world that is truly random, especially when it relates to computing processes. So for example, if you played Minecraft, right, that's the best example. There are things called a seed where you can input numbers or alphabets into a string, and what will happen is you will get the exact same Minecraft map that you would have with someone else who created the same map with the exact same seed. So the seed itself is in itself the Timegate factor. So essentially what Timegate is they take time as a string and they convert it into something that is fixed. So for example, if you are summoning within a specific time period, maybe the game somehow takes that time, or at least part of the time, maybe the day itself, maybe the hour, whatever it is, to increase the odds of getting a certain Esper within that time gate. So that is kind of like the gist of it, and obviously there's a lot of talk that it is false, it is not proven and all that, but reality is, in terms of computing processes, nothing is truly random. Everything is pseudo-random. So even if you run a random process on Microsoft Excel, you run it on Python, you run it on anything, right? It's always not true randomness, it's always pseudo-randomness. And that pseudo-randomness is usually based on time itself, because time is the only changing factor in your computer at any given point in time. So to keep things short and sweet, and to understand a little bit more about why I say that a Timegate exists, and honestly the most basic way for you to understand it is, I've done so many summons and it has become very clear to me that there are certain patterns. Like for example, in the 5000 summon session that I did recently, we actually got a lot of Bion Dinas. We got 7 Bion Dinas out of, I don't know how many net 5s we got, but that was like, I don't know, 10 to 20% of the total number of Bion Dinas, of the total number of legendary Espers that we have drawn. So in order for us to kind of prove this, because no one else has done the stats at all, so in order for me to do a very loose test on this subject, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to use the chat here and key in all the legendary Espers that are drawn along the way. So for example, this guy, he drew a Gaius, right? So I'm just going to input Gaius here. And when the next net 5 comes around, when the next legendary comes around, I will then input it over here. And we are just going to keep track of what people are drawing and what it really looks like. Okay, so we got a Tia here, and we got the Fatum Sisters afterwards. So we currently have like 3 Gaiuses and I think a couple of Namas, right? And yeah, it might be completely RNG. It might just be pure randomness. That's why we got so many of those copies. So actually I'm going to make it a little bit easier for you guys, because if you're watching this, I'm just going to use a formula that counts the number of summons that we have per legendary. So it's just a simple formula like this to help us keep track of all the summons that we have. So you notice that a few of these Espers, they're actually popping up quite a few number of times, right? So for example, Jinya has popped up twice, which is not much. Ophelia has popped up twice as well. Liling has popped up a couple of times as well. Some of the Espers like Intisa, for example, has popped up 3 times, and Brewster is just 1. So the thing is, the way this works is, obviously there is a chance for you to get other Espers, right? It's not that you're only limited to this specific pool. Nice, Cecilia. It's not that you're only limited to this specific pool of Espers, but it's just like a higher probability of pulling certain Espers during certain periods of time. And this is kind of like the game design. It is designed this way for it to act in this fashion, and there is a good reason for it as well. So like you can see, right, there are some Espers that only popped up once. So Tricky only popped up once, Ahmed only popped up once, but characters like Intisa popped up 4 times. And look at Jinyu Yao, she's just spawning faster than rabbits. So the question is this truly random? Because there are many Espers that we have not yet pulled. We have not pulled Sienna, we have not pulled, my god, I can't really think right now. We haven't pulled Gabrielle as well, we haven't pulled Abigail, right? So some of these Espers definitely come around a little bit more frequently. Holy shit, Jiang Jiuli. So I'm not truly proving that it exists, I'm just showing that given RNG, it seems like, right, I can't say for sure, but it seems like certain espers pop up more frequently depending on the time that you're pulling. So if we were to pull when the patch dropped, right, you would see a lot of Biondinas. You would see a shit ton of Biondinas flooding the chat. But now you don't see Biondinas at all. There is not even a single... Okay, we have our first Gabriel here. There is not even a single copy of Biondina, as opposed to when the patch dropped itself. And our first copy of Biondina. So there you go. So you can still draw espers, right? It doesn't matter the time gate, but yeah, it's just certain espers just tend to pop up more frequently. So I'm just going to do this until we have a total of 100, and I'm just going to summarize whatever that we have found for just this one small sample of summons. Okay, so for the espers that you see on column A, these are the espers that I have observed in the chat. So across a period of time, we have a total of 100 summons, right? So I just wanted to stop at 100 because I was a little bit afraid that we were going to move into the next time gate, so to speak. And I have something to show you guys that might actually prove it as well. So on column D, what we have here are all the unique espers in the game that can be summoned. So I'm not going to include espers like Lucas, for example, and Everett. So the thing is, let's just do a tally of the number of espers that we have obtained across a period of 100 summons. So for example, we have obtained, right? So for example, Jinyu Yao, let's do a count if function again. So we're going to set column A as a criteria, we're going to lock it in, and we're going to use Jinyu Yao as the first criteria, and we got 8 copies of Jinyu Yao. And we can just copy and paste the formula as well, and we can see the number of copies of each of the espers that we have obtained. And at the same time, what I want to do is I want to calculate the percentage of the total number of summons that we have done. So we're going to take 8 divided by 100 because we did like 100 summons, right? What you notice is that we have 8% of all our summons being Jinyu Yao. And surprise, surprise, 9 of our summons were Intisa. So 9% of... Oh my god, I just realized that I didn't even need to include the percentage because these are literally 8 out of 100, right? 4 out of 100. My dumbass. Okay, but anyway, what I want you to focus on is maybe not the legendary Shimas because they appear very infrequently, so it's not really such a good idea to focus so much on them. But what you notice is that for some of the espers, so like for example, we have Ife, right? Ife, we only drew 1 copy of her, and Biondina and Gabriel as well. We only drew 1 copy of each of these espers here. And for some of the other espers, like for example Hype, we drew a little bit more. We drew 2 copies of him, and we drew 2 copies of Elliot as well. So the thing is, it does seem like certain espers spawn at a much higher rate, right? So now we got so few copies of Biondina. We only got 1 copy of her, but in the summoning session that I did, we got like I think 7 or 8 copies of her across a span of like 4,000 to 5,000 summons. But if we exclude the number of legendary Shimas, which I think is 5 copies, we actually have 27 unique legendary espers that are not Shimas. Which means that with 100 summons, on average we should expect to have about 3 to 4 copies of each of these legendary espers in order for them to hit the average for true randomness to happen, right? But the thing is, we have espers like Jinyu Yao and Intisa who are appearing way above the average. And of course, we also have espers like Ife and Biondina and Gabriel who are way below the average. So it's kind of sus, right? It kind of points towards the direction of like, in a specific time frame, certain espers are going to appear more frequently than other espers. And in fact, some of the espers are probably not even going to show up that much as well. Now, on the other hand, there is also another thing that I want you to see, which is Abigail. Where's Abigail? So we did get quite a few copies of Abigail, but the surprising thing about her is that we did not actually get her at the start. We did not get a single copy of her at all until, believe it or not, our 62nd summon onwards, we actually got 6 copies of Abigail afterwards. So from 62 all the way to 100 summon, we actually got 6 copies of Abigail. So that makes me believe that actually we crossed the time gate around this period here, right? So when we hit like the 62nd summon onwards, something changed. Maybe the block of time shifted, something like that, and we started drawing more Abigail. But of course, I could be talking shit and it's literally just pure RNG and everything that I've said is just bullshit. But I just like to believe that based on my experience as well, it does kind of point towards the fact that certain espers appear more frequently at certain times of the day, or maybe like certain days, certain dates. And that is going to lead me to the conclusion of today's video, which is perhaps, right? Perhaps moving forward, look at that, we got another Intisa. Perhaps moving forward, it might be a good idea to look at the summons that people... Another Intisa. It might be a good idea to look at the summons that people are doing, another Jinyu Yao as well, oh my god, to see whether it's the esper that you want appearing a lot more frequently or not. If it is, then it's probably a good idea for you to start summoning. But if it's not, oh my god, look, another Intisa again. But if you don't see the esper that you want appearing more frequently, then it's probably not the time gate. So it might be a good idea to just observe the chat and to just, make a list of the espers that you're seeing and just run some numbers, something like that. Something simple like this, right? So that's it for today's content. Let me know whether you think that the time gate is completely bullshit, or is it something that makes a little bit of sense based on the small sample that we have done here. And like I said, the reason for the another integer. And like I said, another reason for the small sample is because I do not want to overlap into another time gate and therefore average everything out. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's content. If you did, don't forget to give a thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now with that said, this has been Derek Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.